All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Disc Review. This week, instead of our usual format where we go through a different album track by track, we're actually going to do an interview with Kyle Dee and Tyler Young from MAKEOUT. Say hello, guys.
Hey, what's up? What's going on, everybody?
What's up, everyone? How you guys doing?
It's so good having you guys here. We just reviewed The Good Life, and we hope to be able to review more stuff by you guys, once you put out your next album, which we'll talk about in a little bit. But first off, how has everything been going for you guys?
It's been great. Things have been super busy. Like I was telling you, Max, just before we started recording, everything with the tour has just been kicking into high gear. So we're getting ready for tour. We got rehearsals coming up. We got the guys coming into LA in a couple weeks, and we're going to practice. And then it's just, we got the album wrapped up and getting all that stuff ready. So it's just go time.
I'm glad to hear you guys are working hard and have some great stuff coming to us. I actually kind of wanted to start out with talking about some of the changes you guys have made over the last couple of years, because you put out The Good Life, and then shortly after that, you had a lineup change. Kyle came on and started singing for you guys. So what was the audition process? What was that like? And what made Kyle stand out, and what made him make the cut?
Yeah, so our old singer kind of left abruptly, and we didn't really know what we were going to do. So we sort of opened it up to the internet, being like, hey, we need a new singer. We still plan to keep going. And, we kind of turned it into a thing where we had a bunch of people submit their different auditions, and we actually had our fans involved a little bit too, like they picked a favorite. But I gotta say, the one thing that really stood out to me about Kyle when he sent us his audition is that most people that put their auditions in picked like Crazy or like Ride It Out, which aren't necessarily the hardest songs to sing, as far as like the songs on our record anyway. And Kyle just went for it. He auditioned with Childish, which is easily one of the hardest songs on the record to sing as like the lead vocalist. So for him to just like go for one of the hardest songs and just nail it, it was a no-brainer.
That's sick, dude. Kyle, what was that like for you?
It was one of those things where I knew I had to stand out. Sam was such a great singer in so many different ways. He was so well-rounded, just great songwriter, musician. And I knew that I needed to try my best to come off like at least that I could sing all the songs and not just like Tyler said, not just take the easy route. I knew it was going to be big shoes to fill. So just had to step up to the plate. I was a fan of the band prior to this, so I was already familiar with all the songs and everything, I love this story because I actually asked Tyler if I could play bass for the band.
I was going to say this.
Yeah, I've told this story multiple times, but before Sam quit, I was asking if I could be their bassist because at the time they were just a three-piece. And then when I saw that Sam was leaving, it was like a light bulb moment where it seemed too good to be true. Like there was no way I was actually going to step in and front the band, but here we are.
That's great. I didn't know that you played bass as well. You're a multi-talented man.
I would have found a way to play bass. Let's just say that.
All right. So, and all this was kind of going down around COVID time. And I imagine that is a really tough time for musicians. What was it like trying to kind of rebuild and restart your band on a new footing during that period?
Dude, honestly, I went through a pretty dark period there for a little bit. So Kyle, when did we lock you in? It would have been it was probably like September, October, 2019. Yeah. So it was in the fall when we, were like, hey, Kyle, we would like you to sing. We played a few shows in December that year, just sort of as like our first shows as, MAKEOUT with the new lineup and things like that, sort of getting prepared for everything. We had recorded, a few songs already too by that point. And so COVID all went down in March, but we were actually planning on going. We had a tour for April and May to go around the US with Say We Can Fly. And then we were supposed to be going to the UK and Europe with the same tour after that. So we were supposed to be gone for like 3 months just as COVID started. So, and that was going to be our big comeback with our new singer. And, we were so stoked to be getting back out there and to have turned it all around so quickly. And then, everything just sort of came crashing down when everything got canceled in March. I think my mental health took a big hit from that for a while. I had a pretty hard time as, it was our chance to sort of come back, that just kind of got taken away from us and just the rug pulled right out from under our feet. And obviously there's nothing we could do about it. So it was sort of just took some time to get over it and just, kept writing more songs and doing more work and plugging away at everything. And, here we are today. And, I couldn't be more happy that, we stuck it out.
Kyle, how was that period of time for you?
It was really weird for me because I was so excited after just joining the band, and there was all this hype and momentum, and I wanted to prove myself, and I was rehearsing every day, and all my friends and family, everyone can't wait to see me in this new band. And, you couldn't have predicted that. It was so weird, the timing of it all. We had just kind of like gotten everything lined up. And it was tough too, because the three of us, Scott, Tyler, and myself, we hadn't really had a chance to build chemistry yet together because we all live in different cities. So that was going to be our chance to really become a band and get to know each other and play together every day. And we weren't able to do that. So throughout the pandemic, it was a lot of getting to know each other through FaceTimes and sending songs back and forth. It just wasn't your typical way to build chemistry, but I guess it's just part of our story, Here we are. We have a record ready now. And there were songs that we had written right when I had joined the band that they just got scrapped because they're too old now at this point. And I don't know, it was just a weird dynamic. We're really stoked to be finally getting it going.
Yeah, and the reason that we ended up we named a song on the new record, Figure It Out, as well, but we named the tour the Figure It Out tour that's coming up just because that's what we've had to do over the last 2 years as everything's been shut down. Like, this album has sort of just been pieced together over the last 2 years. There's songs that are like 2.5 years old on the record at this point, and there's songs that are from May of this year. So it ranges from that whole time period. And so we sort of just had to figure it out.
And the first song that you guys released with Kyle, his vocals on there, was Home. What's the story behind that song? What is it about, and how did it come to be?
So I came out to LA, I think, what were we doing at the time, Tyler? I think it was like the first time we had taken band promo photos together, and we were just rehearsing and things like that. I could be wrong with that, but so then it was I think it was the day I was booked to fly back to Chicago. The night before, Jaden from With Confidence said he was available the next morning to write with us, and I think my flight left at 3 p.m. and we were getting together at 9 a.m. It was just one of those situations where it was okay, we got 3-4 hours to try and get a song written, and everything was done from scratch that same day. It's just here's a guitar track, here's a melody, here's some rough lyrics, and then that song came together really quickly, and there was a magic in the room for sure. And it was cool. It was cool that was our first song we ever put out with the new lineup.
Yeah, you haven't released too much since then, but from what you have released, in my opinion, I feel like I can already see how much you guys have grown and how well you're shaping the band into something so polished. I think that the direction you're going is definitely the right one. What are some of the influences that helped you write this album?
Honestly, a lot of the big differences sound you're going to hear from The Good Life to this new stuff is sort of, I won't lie, Sam, our old singer, had a huge part in doing a lot of the writing for The Good Life. So obviously that's going to be a lot of his influence. And so moving on to this newer stuff, it's mostly just Kyle and I throwing ideas back and forth all the time. I have been just recording and stuff nonstop and just writing new things. So I don't know that I would attribute our sound to any specific artists. Honestly, I because I've been recording so much, I haven't been listening to a lot of music because it's sort of I've just been recording so much that once I've done and put the guitar down, I'm I don't really want to listen to music anymore. But yeah, so it's just sort of what's come natural. I would say my influences growing up were sort of darker. AFI is one of my favorite bands ever. And I know that's not really MAKEOUT, but I guess you can kind of hear that with Home. It's sort of a little more melancholy and darker. And there's a couple tracks actually, I would say, that are sort of along those lines. But obviously Blink-182, stuff like that. Sum 41 is a huge influence for both Kyle and I. That's what we both grew up on. So I would say those kind of bands are really the sound that we are influenced by.
And for me, like I said, I was a fan of MAKEOUT prior to joining. So coming in and being part of the writing process, it's very similar, even though, like you said, Sam had his own way of doing things. But I always felt that the way I write was connected with MAKEOUT, and very similar. We grew up on the same bands, Green Day and Blink and Sum 41. we share those influences. So like Tyler said, like nothing we've done has been us trying to branch off. It's really just like what comes natural, what Tyler said. There have been times where we've tried to go like a little heavier, or sometimes the opposite, a little bit poppier.
Mm-hmm.
And Tyler comes from that dark influence where I have more of like the poppy, like I love happy, fun songs. So we try and blend the two. I think you'll hear a lot of that on the new record.
That's very exciting. How has the fan reception been since you started releasing new music with a new singer? Has it been difficult, or was it very open arms?
No, actually, I think because we had the fans involved with the process of like choosing the singer and stuff, and Kyle was the fan favorite as well. I think it just like it flowed really naturally, and Sam and Kyle both sound pretty similar. They have a very similar vocal range, and so I think having Kyle come in and sounding similar to Sam but different, but being able to hit all like the same notes and be able to sort of do the same things with his voices, it just like was a very natural fit, and it seems like fans have reacted really well.
Yeah, I also feel like Kyle, you're a very natural fit. It feels right, and I think that your voice is really complementary to the style that MAKEOUT is doing right now. The newest single you guys have put out is Wish You Were Here. Tell me a little bit about that song. How did that come about?
That song came about, I went and did a trip up in, we were out in the mountains in Pennsylvania, like off the grid, and we were just, there was no real goal. We were just putting together song ideas, and I remember I was up till like 4 a.m. trying to finish that song. And it's kind of a similar topic to Home, you know. It's like about just heartbreak and past relationships and things like that. But it was weird because that song felt quite different from anything that MAKEOUT had done previously, and I wasn't sure how the guys were going, you know, to react to that sound. And I remember, Tyler, I think you were like, dude, this is my favorite song we've got at this point. So yeah, that song came about at just like 4 a.m. Like all of the lyrics came all at once.
You guys have mentioned a little bit about your new record. Is the record done? Have you finished it?
It is done, and you'll be hearing more news about it soon.
That's good. Glad to hear it. I'm sure all your fans are anxiously awaiting news on that. You've also talked about some tours you got going on. The reason I wanted to talk to you guys is because I saw that you had a festival date with Say We Can Fly, and we had just got done talking with Say We Can Fly. And so I was like, oh, that'll be really fitting to have these guys on. So are you guys excited to go on some tours coming up here?
Yeah, man. I mean, you know, like I said, we were supposed to go out with Braden in 2020, and then that all fell through. So this is our first tour since, you know, we have the new lineup. So yeah, we really are itching to get back out on the road.
And are you guys mostly playing songs from The Good Life still with the new singles?
There should be another song coming out either right at the beginning of tour or right before tour. So we'll be playing that one as well. And then we are going to probably play another 1 or 2 new ones. So I think our set list is like 12 songs. I think we're doing like 7 Good Life and 5 new ones. So 3 that people would have heard and 2 new songs that people won't have heard.
Yeah, that's a good mix.
Yeah.
Kyle, do you feel like it's easier or at least more natural to sing songs that you've written versus songs you weren't a part of the writing process? Or is it all pretty much the same for you?
The honest answer is yes, it is easier, mostly for the sake of memorizing lyrics.
Okay.
Because when there's lyrics that I personally have written, they just resonate like differently in my brain, and it's like, oh, they're like muscle memory. But when you're singing someone else's songs, you have to, I don't know if it's just because there's more pressure to do it a certain way. Yeah, that aspect of it for sure. But not as far as like resonating with what the lyrical content is about. I think in that regard, they're pretty equal.
I remember when I was going through vocal coaching, one thing they kept telling me is stop trying to sound like the person who wrote the song, sing like yourself. Was that an issue for you, like trying to sing like Sam, and then or have you gone past that and feel like you can just sing like yourself?
It's a weird line because I want to obviously have it be natural and sing it the way I would, but people are so used to hearing it the way Sam sang those songs, and I remember when I first joined, I was listening to like how he would enunciate the words and certain things like that was different than what I would do. But I think at the end of the day, having it feel natural and the feeling behind it and like the soul that I try to put into it, I think that will make more of the difference. But yeah, I mean, we'll see once we get out there. I think once we finally get on tour and are playing and meeting all the fans every night, that's really when we're going to see the connection with how the new lineup is doing with the fans.
What's your guys' favorite songs to play on tour?
I actually love playing Salt Lake City. That's one of my favorites to play just because like it's the right tempo, or it's just like bouncy and it's good like jumping song. So I like playing that one a lot. And Lisa is also always fun, just because of like the different ad libs in the song too, because the fans always do like the weird scream stuff and like the weird like ad libs that are like in between the lyrics. That one's just really interactive, so I find that one's really fun too.
Yeah, I like Lisa as well. And then I'm really excited to see how Home is going to do live. I think it'll be fun.
Speaking of Salt Lake City, when my co-host Matt and I reviewed The Good Life, we talked about how Salt Lake City was one of our favorite songs, but we noticed that it had one of the lowest stream counts on the whole record, and we were baffled by that.
Yeah, me too, man. Like that's one of my favorites on the record too, and I don't know. I maybe because it's so like specific, because it's like Salt Lake City in the title, that some people are just like turned off by it. You know, I don't know what the deal is.
I'm actually from Utah, and so it's like weird seeing a Utah city
mentioned
because it's never mentioned. So I thought that was funny. Another thing about where I live, I'm living in Idaho right now. And one of the hardest parts about living here is that bands never come here, ever. And so here's my petition for you guys to come to Idaho Falls. There's about 100 people living here, but we'll all show up.
All right, cool. Good to know. I'll let Logan know, our booking agent.
All right, cool.
I was going to touch on one thing. It's funny you mentioned the Salt Lake thing. We're not hitting Salt Lake on this tour. And it's funny how many messages we've received from fans that are like, they're like, you literally have a song called Salt Lake City, but you're not coming here on your tour. Like, I feel like it's just a weird stigma that we have now within the band that people expect us to come to Salt Lake.
You have to hit Salt Lake City now.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, guys, that's all the questions I had for you. Do you have anything else you'd like to talk about or say to any of your fans that might listen to this?
Yeah, I mean, I guess first and foremost, like this has been a long ride riding out COVID. And I just want to say thank you to anybody who's stuck around and is still listening. You know, that means the world to us, and we wouldn't be able to do this without you. So, you know, we appreciate you sticking around and being interested still. And yeah, we're excited for the future and for this new music to come out and to hit the road. So we hope to see you all out on tour.
Yeah, and I would just say the same. I would say thanks to anyone that's embraced me joining the band as the new singer, and people that are still coming out to see us at the shows. I hope to meet each and every one of you guys. And thanks to you, Max, for having us on.
Yeah,
thanks.
You know what, guys? Thank you for coming on. We always love getting to know bands that we've listened to for so long. I mean, we've been listening to your first album since it came out, so long-time listeners, and we're looking forward to the stuff you guys got in the future.
Oh yeah, well, thanks for listening, man. We appreciate you having us on.
All right, sounds good. All right, thank you for everyone listening. Check us out on Spotify at Disc Review, as well as YouTube at Disc Review. Thank you.